Yes, sir! What's up, boys? We back with another video. In this video, we're talking about trade rumors surrounding Russell Westbrook going to the Clippers. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. New NBA videos every week. Live stream on the 18th covering the draft. Now, let's get into it. So, the Clippers are looking to trade for Russell Westbrook because the Houston Rockets have made Russell Westbrook quietly available. This is news that came out yesterday. So, the trade has not been made public, who the players would entail, but I did see a trade idea online that could work. This is the proposed trade. So, the trade would be Montrezl Harrell in a sign-in trade, Lou Williams, Rodney Magruder, Patrick Beverley, and 2 second-round picks for Russell Westbrook. That's the trade idea I saw online. Now, this trade works well for the Clippers, but not so much the Rockets. That's my opinion. I'm going to explain why I think it works well for the Clippers, as well as why I don't think it works as well for the Rockets. So first I'm going to cover the Clippers, then I'm going to cover the Rockets. If you're only interested in hearing about the Rockets, skip towards the end of the video. If you want to hear about the Clippers, I'm going to get into that right now. So this works well for the Clippers because it gives them the point guard and offense facilitator and play initiator that they were lacking last year, especially during the playoffs. That half-court offense got so stagnant. You're seeing guys like Kawhi and Paul George, ISO, dribble pull-up, ISO, dribble pull-up, pick and roll, Paul George, work, dribble pull-up. They were missing that true playmaking point guard, offensive initiator who could set up other guys and get them going instead of having Kawhi and Paul George just ISO pull-up all the time. That's very draining. Doing ISO pull-ups is very draining and it's not efficient. Having a guy like Russell Westbrook allows Kawhi and Paul George to take a load off on offense. Their offensive load was very heavy last season. And that's because they didn't have a true point guard to help them run the offense. They're coming down. You expect them to play, you expect them to play hard defense and then run offense at the same time. They can't do that. They're going to get tired. That's why we saw the lack of effort on defense. Kawhi and Paul George are two of the best defenders in the fucking league. Last year, we didn't see that from them. We saw laziness. We saw lackadaisical energy. And that energy spread down from the top to the bottom. We saw the Clippers in the playoffs before Kawhi and Paul George came. They were working very hard as a unit. Everybody was out there working hard for each other. It was a brotherhood. You could tell they cared about each other. It's like, yo, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. You die for me, I die for you. No man gets left behind type shit. Once Kawhi and Paul George came, that whole environment changed. The whole environment changed. Kawhi and Paul George didn't feel like the regular season mattered. So the rest of the team didn't care about the regular season. It caused problems in the locker room. They said, oh, we'll just turn it up in the playoffs. Playoffs come. They weren't able to turn it up. There was no effort on defense from Kawhi and Paul George. There was no effort. We see Kawhi not even being able to fight through screens at times. Crucial moments. One of them being the game-winning shot against Luka. We've seen him not be able to fight through screens. Is that because he's lazy or is that because he's tired from running the offense? I don't know. Could be a bit of both. But them being lazy on defense drops down to the rest of the team. You're not going to see the rest of the team want to, like I told you, the old Clippers used to be, I fight for you, you fight for me. If I'm looking at Kawhi being lazy on defense, I'm going to assume this guy's not willing to fight for me. He's not willing to die for me. It's not no man gets left behind. It's fuck that nigga. That's what you're on. Enter Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook will take some of the offensive load off of guys like Paul George and Kawhi and allow them to work more off ball. Work more getting shots in the flow of the offense. Instead of just forcing pull-up jumpers and ISO, Russ can help create some more in-rhythm shots for them, in-flow shots for them. They can come off-ball screens, flares, all these other fucking basketball plays that they can do instead of the fucking ISO or the spread pick and roll. Guys, this is important because what that also means is by them taking off the offensive load off of PG and Kawhi's shoulders, it allows them to put more effort on defense. It allows them to truly lock in and shut down the opposing team's best scorer. As we've seen with Kawhi against LeBron, he brought that defensive effort. He'll be able to bring that defensive effort every fucking night if he has a guy like Russell Westbrook facilitating the offense, initiating the plays, allowing him to take plays off. Lock in. If the Clippers want to make a real push in the playoffs next year, they need to improve their defensive ability as a team. It starts with Kawhi and Paul George. The effort that they put in on defense carries on to the rest of the team. If I see Kawhi diving for loose balls, getting into his opponent, trucking and shit like that, that's going to make me want to work hard because I'm seeing my leader, my captain, work hard. If my leader is not working hard, I'm not fucking working hard. That's the way it works. It's simple psychology, boys. This trade makes sense for the Clippers because it's going to improve Kawhi and Paul George's defensive ability and their efficiency on offense. Kawhi and Paul George are not playmakers. They're not. Yes, they get an assist here and there. Sure, they can run pick and roll. They can make reads on pick and roll. But they're not natural playmakers. These guys are shot creators and scorers. Scorers. Russell Westbrook averaged 10 assists for most of his career. He's a playmaker. That's what the Clippers need. Is his contract humongous? Yes. Will you have to give up a lot for him? Yes. But it makes sense and it addresses the needs that the Clippers need to fill. Russ would be a great pick and roll partner with Zubac. Zubac becomes more effective with Russ. Russ is a much better pick and roll maestro than Kawhi and Paul George could ever dream to be. Because that's his true role. He's been running pick and roll his whole fucking life. Since UCLA. So yes, I think this trade makes sense for the Clippers. Do they have to do it? No. There's other options available out there. But this trade rumor is out, so I thought I'd give my opinion on it. Guys, let me know your opinion on this trade rumor. If the trade was, as shown, Montrez, Lou, Pat Bev, Rodney Magruder, and 2 second-round picks for Russell Westbrook, Clippers fans, would you take that? Rockets fans, would you take that? I'm going to get into why this trade doesn't work for the Rockets now. Starting off with, let's say that this was the proposed trade, the one that I've told you guys about. Me, if I'm the Rockets, I want Landry Shamet in that deal. You guys can keep Rodney Magruder. I want Shamet. I want Landry Shamet. I want him. He fits great with the Rockets' style of play. He's a three-point shooter. He's young. He has a lot of room for improvement on defense, but he can definitely guard at least league averagely. I want Landry Shamet. I don't fucking want Rodney Magruder. He's a bum. He's a bum. He's just a regular player in this league. You could replace him with anyone. Yeah, I can't tell the difference between him and a can of paint. I want Shamet. Now, why doesn't this trade work out for the Rockets? For one, we haven't seen Russ and James in the playoffs together, really. We haven't really seen it. This playoffs, Russ was injured, and he fucking had COVID. The guy had COVID. A week later, he has a fucking injury. How do you guys expect him to play at 100% with COVID and an injury? We still don't know what the effects of COVID are long term. We haven't seen James Harden and Russell Westbrook truly play together in the playoffs. This playoffs was a scratch for them. Russ was not 100% at all. When he was 100%, he was playing some of the most efficient basketball of his career on the Rockets. He cut down the stupid threes. He was driving to the rim, running full court offense. It was amazing. You love to see it. Russ was playing some of the best basketball of his career, efficiency-wise. And I think if you have a guy like that playing with James Harden and they're both 100% in the playoffs with the right pieces around them, they could make a deeper push than they made this year. Would they have beaten the Lakers if Russ was 100% healthy? I don't know. Would they have put more of an effort up against them than they did? 100%. So that's for one. Second thing, We have already seen James Harden play with Montrezl, Lou, and Pat Bev. We've seen it. We traded these players for Chris Paul, who's no longer on the team. Why the fuck are we going to trade to get them back? That makes no sense for the Rockets. We've seen this. None of those players is a true point guard. None of those players is a true playmaker. Lou Williams is a playmaker for himself and Montrezl Harrell, not for the rest of the team. It doesn't make sense. If Harden has to be the main playmaker, the main facilitator, the main play initiator all the time, we've seen what happens to him. He gets fucking gassed. By the time the playoffs come, this guy has no energy. Putting up duds. Niggas gonna tell me about his stats. Oh, James Harden's playoff stats is good. What are you talking about, bro? You don't watch basketball. Bro, do you watch basketball? Have you ever seen James Harden in the finals? Okay then. Niggas want to tell me, oh, all the series he was in, he was the underdog. I don't give a fuck. Have you ever seen James Harden in the finals? Has he played as well in the playoffs as he did in the regular season? No. And you can't even argue that. That's a fact. He hasn't played as well in the playoffs as he has during the regular season. And that's because he's fucking gassed. He's tired. He runs all season, running every play through him. Imagine if you had to come down the court and every offensive play was up to you, through your head. You have to figure out how you're going to destroy this defense. It's draining. And because of that, you're going to expect a lower defensive output from Harden. You need Harden locked in on defense. He's more locked in when he has a number 2 guy to play with, like Chris Paul or Russ. Take some of the offensive load off this guy. I don't think this trade makes sense for the Rockets, especially not with Shamet in it. Those are my main points. I don't have any more points. Those are my main points. This doesn't make sense for the Rockets. It makes some sense for the Clippers. Guys, let me know how you feel about this potential trade, what I was saying in the video, all that shit. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. New NBA videos every week. Peace.